Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing well. It's me Chetan Magar and welcome to my channel. How the space shuttle helped women broke NASA glass ceiling. In 18 June 1983, Space Shuttle Challenger prepared for launch. STS-7 was NASA's seventh shuttle mission for the world's first reusable spacecraft on board. Among its crowd of five was California psychoscientist Sally Ride. Until then, only two women had even been into space. Soviet cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova had made history more than two decades earlier in 1961. 19th year later, in 1982, Stefan Savitskaya became the second woman in space after the Soviet got wind that the US was going to fly its first woman, although an astronaut buried doll approached in USA SOF in 1965. Sporting practical boats and a silvery space salt, American women had to wait a lot longer for the real thing. By the 1980s, both the world and fashion had changed the rampage. 1985, astronaut Barbie sport glittery silver legging and had a matching handbag. There was fuchsia pink full straight a short skirt and pink knee-length high-heeled boot. When heel was definitely not part of right mission accessories, NASA did provide cosmetics in the form of mascara, eyeshadow, and lipstick. They were inside a personal preference kits for its six new female astronauts, Wright, J.D. Renix, Anna Fisher, Kathleen Sullivan, Snownon, Lucid, and Rhea Seddon. Red, it turned out, did not use the makeup. Either did not astronaut trainee college Catherine Sulfiana a year later when she became the first American woman to perform a space ride. Several of years raced with a mix of bemusement and annoyance at the female PPK cosmetic kits. Cecily Fun, who later played a crucial role repairing the Hubble Space Telescope, and its its co-author of How to Spake World Step by Step with Shuttle Astronaut. A whole kit developed to make a suggestion to me that someone thought we might be less impossible focused than our male counterparts, and we were obligated to live up some journalist stereotype, say Sullivan. Not every female astronaut from this intake, however, escaped the cosmetic scene. Recall on her website, I speak of for the minority. If there could be picture taken of me from space, I didn't want to fade into the background, so I requested some basic item. It was interesting to me that I wasn't the sole space travel which his flight fixture showed a bite of lipstick and blush. A right neighbor road make of but There were other issues with the PPK. The women had already lobbied to replace the British settling deodorant, the women's their tonic and the world spicy saving cream with more female friendly lotion and potential, say Lynn Sayer, author of Silly Ride, American First Woman in Space. But on some oceans, the sex of those six astronaut trainees was simply forget, forgotten broke in 1978 when she was invited to Edward Air Force Base to see the test landing of Space Shuttle Enterprise said every visiting astronaut, including the woman, received souvenir of the ocean glad pattern, deeply clip and cord fling. When personal preference will differ, one aspect of space travel preparation for the new rescues required an basic knowledge of biology. They put some tampons in the PPK for Sally to took it and she pulled one out and it was like unrailing a string of sausages Catherine Sylvas. The NASA guys had realized that women might be women and therefore while they were flying it might be the time of the month when they got their periods, Levine told me in the early interview. They put some tampons in the PPK for Silly to look at and she pulled one out and it was like unrailing a streaming of solution tempo, tempo, tampon. There were like 100 and they said it that enough. Sally was historical and said no, see all the was that was really too much, thank you very much. As you may have gathered, NASA had the engineering know how to get into space but not necessarily a full understanding of a woman's priorities or even their menstrual cycle. The most obvious and amusing masterpieces were in crew equipment, clothing, parachute, helmet, horizon net, say Sylvie, sleep fan. I think these were all innocent guffs and that the team responsible for those did not best they could with that they know. While not everything hit the mark for the women, NASA did get things right too. Male and female blender may be insanely on the same but as many one with young children will tend the pressure point for urine absorbenary in a baby boy nappy are not the same as those for girls. NASA had already designed a maximum absorbency German GAMZ and adult nappy worn during launch, landing and space work but until the shuttle intake every US astronaut had been male, while the women were also of fading height and built. NASA made them individual disposal, absorption and collection truck. NASA had made the commitment to accepting women into the program, say class of 1978 astronaut Anna Fisher in the radio documentary The Equal Rights Stop. Stop. Even if you look in the mission control here where women Fisher say, but very few flight control, certainly no female flight and directors. The first female flight director wasn't until 1984. Historically, there had also been an assumption among US astronauts that only men had the right stuff up until the space shuttle selection, but also all but one of NASA astronauts were pilot and had a background in the military. Addison Smith was the sole exception a geologist on the Apollo 17. He still complete jet and helicopter flight training at two military bases as a civilian. Suddenly, the normal rules of astronaut selection no longer applied. Such 15 of the 35 new guys were pilots, but this time they were outnumbered by 20 mission specialist scientists, psych, physician, and engineer. Not only, but six within this new category were women, and not everyone was happy about it. I know Mike Muller was very forthcoming about this feeling in this book writing Rocket Fisher say when Mulani joined the shuttle astronaut corps he was a pilot had attended the all-male West Point US Military Academy and was a Vietnam veteran of 134 combat mission. He wondered how those people coming from a scientific background, we are going to function the Fisher if you found yourself in a life-threatening situation. When I met Mullah at this New Mexico home a few years ago, he had as Fahrenheit as his book about his sexism at the time, as well as his previous criticism of the women and other mission specialists. You come out of a Catholic school, you learn that women only have a couple of functions. The prime rule of a woman is to be a mother and a stay-at-home wife. Simulan that was what was hammed into us US all those years. So it was very unusual to meet women who were not dental hygienists and secretaries. It was suspect, and most military were suspect about how those people would adapt to a world so different. For use, it was the same word flying high performance vehicle. It didn't take long to realize that those people bought a lot of table, said Mulan. On my first mission, I was assigned to a crew that included Rensik, the second woman to fly in space, loved her. Mulan admitted to rocky relationship with the right but was later full of administration at what she had achieved silly, so she really did have the right stuff. And during the sixth women training, their inclusion was often met with incredulity or ridiculely. One reporter pointed out the man had done all the pilot and space work and scientists in Mercury, Gemini, and Apollo, and surely could do so on the shuttle, say civilians so weren't we unnecessary or just along to watch the men? This attitude extended for beyond news program Zoni Canson, a joke on the pilot, joke on the Tonight Show. She said that the shuttle would be delayed so that Silly could find a port to match her show. Sir, a former shuttle commentator, was at the pre-flight pre-conference for STS-7 when a Time magazine reporter asks Wright about her response to a glitch or problem during training. Do you weep? Despite being extremely well qualified, these women consistently had to provide themselves. Ultimately, they succeed with its mission. Lucid, for instance, flew 5 times, performed invasive, invaluable research, and held the world record for the most time in space by a woman from 1996 to 2007. But the important thing was to be selected for the first place, and actress Nicole Nichols play a key role in realizing the most dispersed class of US astronaut NASA had ever assembled. Nicholas was best known as the original Lutheran and Ura in 1966 to 1969 Star Trek TV series, and the only black actor who regularly appears in the original show. In the early 1970s, NASA Equal Opportunity Officer Ruth Bader Harris, producer reporter deeming in minority hiring program a near total failure and was promptly fired. The agency rehired her in 1974 after her dismissal led to congressional hearing, so NASA had something to prove when it come to their next astronaut application process. Nicholas' position on the bridge of the NASA Enterprises had a powerful impact on American, so NASA enlisted her for a recruitment videos to encourage women and people of color to apply. She also gave a school talk and later made in 1979 National Air and Space Museum promotional film What It in the Front Me. Three American Americas and one Asian American were among in the 35 trainees, and before her death in the silence incident, Rensick often spoke about how Nichols encouraged her to become astronaut. Years later, Mae Jemison, NASA's first black woman in space 1992, also cites Nichols as an inspiration. NASA today in a completely different organization, engineering mission specialist Laurel O'Hara joined the crew, International Space Station ISS, and the joint crew American Jimmy's and Jasmine Mojave, who had a equally impressive engineering background as well as being a test pilot with over 150 combo missions under her belt. I remember that the right stuff and longer the pressure of white male. Sally Ride position was took NASA 20 years to get there, but only they made the decision to include women and military. They were all in state shelter. I think Sally saw NASA as the cool opportunity employee it had finally become. You can hear more about NASA effort to wait for pull of space shuttle crew in the episode of BBC radio series 33-minute present in the space shuttle on BBC Sound. If you like this story, sign up for Essential List newsletter, hand-picked selection of feature videos, and can't miss news delivered to your inbox and tweet. The Gaza Dokuradama living audience brags at the Venue Film Festival on film has been more talk about the Kothor bin Hanis and the voice of Hind Rajab, which are recorded by story of a 6 years old and world girl killed in Gaza. Narendra Modi and Xi Jinping meet Trump as the wild card and another takeaway. Just a few months ago, the army force of India and Pakistan were locked in a very deep Delhi conflict. The conflict indirectly involved a third nation, China. Pakistan armed forces heavily used China-made equipment including fighter jet and radar system. A senior army officer in Delhi said Beijing also provide live input to Pakistan on India war. Okay, thank you guys. Stay tuned in next video. Okay.